Hey guys, this is Ryan here. I'm talking to Ty Taylor, the developer of pretty much the most awesome logic puzzler game ever, The Bridge. So, hi Ty.
Hi.
So, why don't you give us a little background about The Bridge in general? Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's a logic puzzle game in the style of MC Escher meets Isaac Newton. The entire game is drawn in black and white, hand-drawn lithographic art, and it's a game that kind of, you can think of it sort of like similar to Braid in the way it plays out. It's a level-by-level puzzle game that challenges the player to rethink the way they think about the world.
Right, so you say it was hand drawn. How long did it take you just to do the drawings, if anything else?
Mario Castañeda did the drawings of the game, and it took him probably. He started about 6 or 7 months after I started on the project, and it probably took him. He's been working on it since then, so for almost 2 years.
Cool. And one thing that I actually think is totally awesome about the game also is the soundtrack itself. How did you come across making the music for, like, even just the trailer was really good?
We actually used royalty-free music for everything. Once we had the game kind of in its visual and mechanical state, we chose royalty-free music from the enormous collection you can find on the internet to match it really well.
That's smart.
We spent hours and hours just like going through different tracks and finding which ones fit the game best.
Yeah, you definitely found, like, the greatest music for it. It definitely fit the mood. What inspired you to do this? Were there any other types of games out there that gave you the idea, or was it just the artwork itself?
To make the game?
Yeah.
I was probably initially inspired by MC Escher's works rather than any game. But once I started putting the game together and kind of solidifying my ideas as to what I wanted it to actually be, the game that most influenced me was probably Braid, just in terms of structure. So right. Just starting the game off, no title screen or anything like that, and organizing it, each chapter containing its own distinct mechanics and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, because I definitely, one thing too that I really like is that it starts out pretty simple, but it does start to really ramp up the difficulty when it comes to just figuring out the various ways to get through the stages. How did you go about that? Because looking at some of the artwork that's there, just at face value, you look at it and there's like, how would you make a puzzle level out of this? And there's
it was actually the reverse. I initially came up with the level architecture and what the puzzle was, and basically drew an outline of it in the perspective, and then had it detailed by Mario.
That's definitely a different way of doing it. A lot of people will. I actually talked to a guy who made another puzzle game, not so much similar like this, but kind of in the way, and he said he figured out the puzzle after he drew out the level. So it's always interesting to hear different takes on how that all works. Do you have a background in gaming? Have you made any other games or?
Nothing to the scale. Nothing I've released on a platform like Steam before. But of course I've made other games. This wasn't my first game I've ever tried to make. But I've been making video games for 10 years now. This is the first one that's actually been pretty successful.
I definitely think it's going to be successful. If nothing else, it's already has. I've noticed also you've definitely gotten a lot of praise for it. I've seen you can even see it on the Steam page. You can see the various awards that you've gotten. How does it feel to know that, like, before the game's even released, all eyes are on the bridge itself?
It's been interesting. I guess I didn't expect this kind of attention throughout the process of making it, because this is, of course, the first time I've started winning in these international awards, before the game's even released, and so that does add a sense of pressure to it. But at the same time, it is nice that people are anticipating it. I know the release is going to be big, and so it's positive and negative, I guess.
Oh, definitely, and I think with it being on Steam, it makes it so accessible to people who haven't even seen it, being right up on the page and whatnot.
Definitely.
So it's definitely a good launch. Did you have to go through Greenlight, or did
No.
it just... You just
No, after it started winning some of these awards, Valve came to me and asked me if I should be on Steam.
Oh, that's cool. Was it easy working with them?
Absolutely.
That's good. Another question I had too is, just looking back over your history of gaming and stuff. Where did you start? Like, when did you start playing games, and what are some of your favorite types?
Oh, before I can remember, I was born after video games existed, so before I was born, my dad bought me a Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
Nice.
And I just, the types I classically like are puzzle games. I play all kinds of puzzle games and make puzzle games. Adventure games I really like the Zelda-style games.
Cool. So, you said it took a couple years to make it. Was there ever a point where you just became overwhelmed with it, or was it just a driving force? You knew what you were going to do, you had your idea, and you were just going for it?
A little both. For the past well over a year, I've known what I was going to do with the game. I knew what I wanted the final product to look like. But, staying motivated is always difficult. It helps to work on it part-time, too, while I have a day job. So I don't have to spend 100% of my time. But even when I wasn't working, I would have a much smaller game that I was working on just to clear my mind from working on the bridge all the time.
Do you have like any favorites that you've played that that kind of puts you in the way of saying that you want to actually make games? Like,
I don't know. I'm not sure any particular games come to mind. Most games I play and find enjoyment out of. I don't necessarily model the games I make off of them, but I really just rather enjoy the process of making them. A lot of people will, I think, play games and say, "Oh, I really enjoyed that. I wanna make games to give other people the enjoyment." I actually make games because I enjoy the process of making them.
Did you consider releasing it on like Desura or anything like that, or was Steam pretty much?
Oh, I'm still looking for. I'm still kind of negotiating other platforms, Desura or anything else.
Have you heard anything from console makers at all, Microsoft or Sony or anyone?
I'm still talking to console makers.
Oh, that's good. Don't want you to break anything. So, have you? Are you going to be working on anything else after this? Or are you going to kind of sit and take a break, or?
I'm gonna take a bit of a break, but I definitely have plans for plenty of future games.
That's good. Looking at basically indie developers as it is, and the way that gaming is going in general, seems to further and further the gap. But also looks like indie developers are really starting to pull their own. They're starting to be noticed even more than all the big titles.
And platforms like Steam help that a lot too.
Yeah, definitely, especially with the greenlight process, I would assume. For you, with things coming out like the Ouya and things like that, how do you feel about, and also with mobile gaming like iOS and Android and everything like that, how do you feel that that's really getting the indie developers out there more than just having to rely on Steam or anything like that when it comes to battling like the big games that are out there?
Well, yeah, definitely. Any way to get your game out there is great. But I mean, platforms like Congregate or any other Flash distributor have existed for many years. So there was, I mean, these are new platforms, but I don't think it's a new. I don't think it's a new thing that really small indie developers, just like people spending a couple weeks on their game, are getting out to the world. That's been happening for many years. It's just perhaps it's to a larger audience, but then they're still competing with everyone else who's doing that.
Right.
You have thousands of high school students or college students just like making these small games, which to be honest aren't terribly high quality because they're very new to what they're doing.
Right.
But they're competing with everyone else in that market because anyone can put a game out, even if they spend a day on it or a week on it.
Right. Do you feel that it's a lot easier, if you take how it is now, how it was before,
mm-hmm.
Do you feel that it's a lot easier now to get, noticed for your games? With now that you have all these things, you have, like the groupies bundles and the indie galas and everything like that. And then you also have Steam with the Greenlight project, or how you said that, Steam came to you once you started winning all the awards. Do you figure it's easier to get a little bit more press for your games?
For the average indie developer?
Yeah, just in general.
No, it's probably much harder. Because of all these platforms making it so easy to put your game up, that means so many more people are doing it, which means you have a lot more competition to get noticed. This is why Greenlight existed in the first place. If you had not kind of to the caliber of the Bridge, I want to say, first of all, that there are probably 3 tiers of games.
Right. There's
the AAA tier, the Halo and Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's I'm going to make a game in a couple of days and throw it on iPhone.
Right.
And then there's middle tier, which is the really high quality indie games like Limbo or Braid or Minecraft or The Bridge, which is kind of what you'll see on the front page of Steam as far as indie games go. And so to get to that, to get from that first tier to the second tier, from like the made it in a day to actually very high quality independent game, is much more difficult than it used to be.
Right. Let's see. Excuse me. When you look at the time, you bring up some of the games that people make for a short period of time. You take the ones where, like people who made Limbo and so on, they put, years into these games.
Oh, absolutely.
I notice a lot more people, the people who make shorter games tend to drop their price a lot further down, trying to get their foot into the market. Do you feel that price point has been an issue? When it comes to trying to figure out, okay, how much is my game worth? Yeah. Some people will say my game's worth $4.99. Then other people who made some indie titles that aren't even really that great, we're going to try to sell it to you for $20.
I don't know if it's a matter of everyone thinking what their game is worth in selling it. I think a lot of people sell it for what they think will sell the most. Whereas with the Bridge, I'm putting the Bridge up for $14.99, and that's what it's worth. But a lot of games on Steam, a lot of indie games are $9.99.
Right.
And so I intentionally didn't make the decision to drop it to $9.99 because it's worth $15, not $10.
Right, definitely.
But the same thing is happening on the iPad store, the Apple store, and the Android store and everything. And that's like, every other game is 99 cents. So even if I have an incredibly high quality game, I feel like I have to put it out for 99 cents just so it has any chance at all.
Right.
And that's unfortunate because a lot of games are worth a lot more than they're selling, and it's unfortunate that the marketplace has made this kind of dynamic.
Oh, definitely. Because I look at your game and I see other games that, like I told you, aren't even. You look at how much little lack of work they put into it, and then you see all the work that you put in, and it's like, well, yours is $14.99, and theirs is $14.99, and it's based on different art styles. Some people really like, maybe the other game's an action game. Well, we really like action games, so we're going to go buy this game. They totally pass up yours. And it's like, well, yours is worth the price. Theirs isn't. And unfortunately, when it comes down to look, I think a lot of people don't really take into what the actual value of a game is. Like yours. I could play yours over and over again, even if I know I know how to solve every puzzle. Just because you have created such a nice environment and the people you work with, when it comes to the game, it's enjoyable to play again. It doesn't really seem like one where you're just going to put down, for a couple minutes and go on.
Yeah.
So it's definitely nice to see someone putting in so much work instead of just trying to make the quick buck, honestly.
Yeah. Thank you.
So it's coming out on February 22nd on Steam, and it's $14.99. Do you have anywhere else that you're selling it, like a personal website for the game itself, or are you just Steam?
I will on the 22nd. I think before then, the only place to buy it is on Steam, and before then, it's at a 20% discount as well. Okay,
cool. Well, I think that's all the questions we have.
All right.
But I definitely like to thank you for sitting in on this interview, and like I said, it comes out on February 22nd. It's going to be at a price point for $14.99. If you get it beforehand, it does come with a discount, and even at $14.99, you're definitely getting a steal of a game.
Thank you.
So everyone make sure to check it out and keep checking with us. There will be a full-page review with the interview, so it can all work together. and some videos and whatnot. So I hope you all enjoy it, and I'd like to thank Ty for popping in and hanging out with us for a bit.
Thank you.